What do you want to know about Ireland?
I don't know, it's a cool country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of think it's quite nice that you're finally embracing your Irish roots, actually. Yeah, for a long time you were such a little English girl.
How did I ever get myself into this?
You're being a really nice grandmother.
Growing up, I would hear my mum on a regular basis mention her childhood and the problems she faced being brought up amidst the troubles in Northern Ireland. And for a long time it used to annoy me because she would go on and on about it and I just couldn't find any way to relate. It was a 30-year conflict between the Unionists, who were mostly Protestant and wanted Ireland to stay a part of Great Britain, and the Nationalists, who were mostly Catholic and wanted Ireland to be an independent country. At that age, I couldn't grasp the severity of what she went through, with danger and fear being a part of her and her family's daily life. But as I've gotten older and have learned to appreciate her and my grandmother so much more, I feel like more people should know about it.
So you said Judith and Heather were in high school.
Yes.
And you realised that you were worried about them coming home.
Yes, I was. I was working at that time too, and but I would have sat out in the backyard and listened to shooting and bangs, wonder what was going on, and they were on their way home from school.
Most of my teenage life was not actually what a normal teenager would have. It wasn't the kind of life and the freedom that you had. Like my parents didn't want me to go into town on a Saturday because I might get caught up in this. So that kind of brought my freedom to an end. Nearly every Saturday without fail, there would be rioting and there would be a bomb scare and we would have to evacuate the store. Sometimes there was shooting, you could hear shots being fired. I can't remember being scared. My mother must have been terrified, because if I think of it reversed now, if you had had a job there, then I would be absolutely worried sick.
And I remember walking up here, and I know Mum won't remember this, but we saw a girl tarred and feathered.
What does that mean?
I mean, she was covered in tar, stripped naked, covered in tar, and then covered in feathers. And it was what they used to do to people that collaborated with the other side. She was maybe seeing older or something.
Wow.
So it did happen, and I remember it saying, and I remember Mum saying to me, "Oh, don't look, don't look." I remember saying that so clearly.
You could drive round Derry or Londonderry, as I was brought up to call it, and you would see paving stones, the kind of edging of the paving stones painted red, white and blue if you were in a Protestant area, and green, white and gold if you were in a Catholic area. And when I was growing up, you didn't sort of go into those kind of areas. You definitely didn't go into the Catholic areas if you were a Protestant, because cars were hijacked. The Bogside was a predominantly Catholic area of the city. On that kind of cusp of where the Bogside area filtered into the main city centre, that was where a lot of the trouble sometimes happened.
Things weren't as free and easy. You just couldn't sort of get into the car and go into town and do what you wanted to do and come out again, especially when the army came on the streets and there were so many checkpoints and everything like that. It definitely did. Sometimes you thought about, will I go or will I not go? And it was easier maybe to stay at home. The shooting began down from the cemetery down to where the soldiers were unloading the lorries, down on the dump. I'm trying to get across the water to get into the factory to steal fertiliser. We're making bombs, and things like that were quite scary. Bombs were being put under cars. That was another worry. You just were trying to live your life as best you could. I had nothing against Catholic people at all. I had lots of Catholic friends. I mean, I think Ireland are quite happy as they are at the moment with no border, which has made such a difference to the south of Ireland as well as to the north of Ireland. I don't think anybody really wants that to change. I mean, the people in Dublin are quite happy, and it would be terrible to go back to having a border again and having all the different things that we had to do before.
I think where we are now is so much further forward than a lot of people ever thought we would get to. And that is real cause for hope. But it's a really important part of Ireland's history. It should be taught, it shouldn't be forgotten about.
Paving stones were warm that day. The streets were strewn with gore, as window panes and rifles cracked amid that fiery roar. Oh God, make them stop soon, the young man thought in fear, as he lay upon the cold hard floor, his blood a river that carried his life to the sea of death so near.